big bourbon drinker.
I meant like on this tour.
Kind of bourbon drink.
Well,
Just to keep us all warm, right?
Yeah.
The rum's in my pocket. Don't worry, I got us covered. No, I'm kidding. All right, so first thing we're going to be using, just so I can make sure I get Blake out of the way, to make sure he gets exactly what he asked for. This is a thermal imaging camera. So you guys will be getting the full video from this back. Why would we want a thermal imaging camera inside of a ghost hunt?
Because you can capture, they're like you can, like...
Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Cold spots. This is what we're looking for. So...
For something colder than the outside temperature.
Exactly. So we are literally looking for cold spots. So this is a FLIR camera. This is what firemen would actually use to actually help save people. So this is the real deal. This is not a phone app you guys can go home and download. There is a camera attached to a cell phone, so that way we can make it portable for me bringing it out here. Now you guys should all be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. So that means I'm the hottest thing inside the frame. Sorry, fellas, but that's how that works out. So yes, I still use that joke from 2 years ago. So it still works every single time. I did it last time too. So we're looking for blue and black. So the blue and black are the coldest spots in the frame. I'm looking for them to either take shape or to start moving on their own. When I say take shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms and legs. That's what we've caught with this guy in the past. Hopefully we'll capture it again. Do I capture it every single night? No. I maybe get 4 or 5 things out of this that I'll put my stamp of approval on it per year, not 12 an episode. And you guys are getting my point. So I also have this set up with a blue dot. So, and this might even be an upgrade from the last time you used it. The blue dot is bouncing around the screen, showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So I'm looking for 15 plus degree temperature drops. It is 43 degrees out here for us tonight. Not that you guys needed a reminder, but I'm going to be looking for 28 degrees and colder. So again, that's definitely colder than cold, right? Like that's snowy weather for those of you that don't live here. So again, I'm from the north. I know what snowy weather looks like.
Yeah.
So that blue dot will be there on your screen all night long. So when I'm spot checking this, I do watch your videos in double time because we will be using 3 cameras tonight. Welcome to a Friday night in Charleston, everybody. Somebody brought that bourbon you were looking for over there, dude. You might want to go get some. But anyway, so with this guy, so Blake, you kind of know the drill on this one. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a space, I'm always going to point out and slow down on specific keywords that are commonly found here. For this location, it would be 47, New York, Giants, anything relative to a bar, and the name John. So hopefully you guys are getting the point. Open-ended questions. And you can see there, I'm already beginning. Now, John used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys came in. They were not old enough to drink. John had the bartender throw them out. They left pretty ticked off and came back the next night and tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on from the back. He slammed down his beer, and he goes up front and just starts pounding on these guys, beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John got grazed in the neck, but the bullet goes behind him into the wall. He's the only one that got shot, but he's the only one that got up. Goes back to the bar, tells the bartender, get me another beer, go get those 2 guys an ambulance. Irony of the story. If I tell you that a building is haunted, you're already preconditioned to think that some tragic death occurred here. It's not the case with this location. It's the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. So you say that a lot. So I say allegedly because I don't go in there often, but even if they filled it in, that means they sealed Big John's blood inside the front of this building. People that sit in the front of the bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is why we start here. I'm taking, well, we'll say 8 strangers on a paranormal investigation because I already know those 2 in the back hiding out. Now, if any of you guys feel any of those symptoms, like I just mentioned, the nausea, the headache, the dizziness, please let me know. Get us out of that area and blame the weather first. So again, I'm not the TV show host where everything's going to be a ghost. Just kind of keep that in the back of your brains. But again, we will assess it later, but your safety is of the utmost importance. Is that fair to everybody? Especially people here with kids? Got it. Figured as much. So let's get your mind off your own health, and especially your kids' health that you guys brought with you. So we had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't know that from another tour here in Charleston, now you know. Every tour in town talks about it. But the building of Big John's is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. By the way, earthquakes are weird for us because you're in South Carolina. We're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building, they say a piece of it broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. The previous owner of this bar, in between the 2 Big John establishments, used to see dark shadows in the middle of East Bay Street after closing. I say allegedly a lot with this story. It's because I have no proof whatsoever. It's just a great segue, so the moms that I get on my tour aren't worried about their kids getting sick, even though I just brought it back up again. So sorry about all of that. So are we ready to learn more about this gear that you guys are now holding? I figured as much. Madeline, are you ready? Okay, you sure? All right, we're going to go this way. Looks like Alex thinking.
And the figure in the window is Chevy Chase.
devices a little bit further, we're at the big red barn lot. This is where we keep some of the horses for your carriage rides. Okay, so they can hear us, which is exactly where we're using headphones, and why Carly's on mute right now. They don't like the white noise. They will kick the wall, scare the bejesus out of all of us. So the history here is very simple. It's just a one-liner, but it does explain all of your gear. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. The keywords here being delivery, milk, eggs, anything relative to a stable. Okay, let's talk about your gear. We've got a lot of communication devices. That includes our word list, our Ouija board, all the spirit boxes. What's the first question everybody would like to ask a Ouija board when they get in front of one? If you've never seen one or used one, think of a TV show or movie. Exactly. Good job. So let's say we all sit around and we say, is anybody here? And then Jack hears the answer no. That means somebody's here. They answered you. Getting my point? We're not going to go after yes or no questions here. We're going to go after some details. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color a big red barn is. Obviously, we are now looking and listening for the color red. But those of you with listening spirit boxes are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red, and I would take that as possibly being paranormal if something else was going on. Let me give you another example. Madeline's word list spells out the word art for us, and that doesn't mean anything over here by itself. Who else has a spirit box? Carly here's the number 40 coming out of her spirit box. If you put both of those clues together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see where this is a collective? Like we got to, collect some puzzle pieces and kind of see how they all match up. Cool thing for you is I know about 90% of what these puzzles look like. It's the other 10% of things you guys hear and see that I'm like, I have no idea what that is, who that is, or what that means. That means I get to research. I'm actually excited about that. So that's where I get to really dive in because that's what I do. I'm a writer. I love the research. So, cameras. Let's kind of get into those. We have 3 cameras out here tonight. A couple of rules on all 3 cameras. When we are recording, you want to be as slow as possible in movement. So the reason why, again, I've watched them in double time, so it's much easier to find an anomaly in any of the 3 cameras if we're watching it twice as fast as it's supposed to go. The other piece too is, oh, by the way, if I'm too busy with other people, I have a feeling that some of you are going to keep me on my toes for sure, Jack. And if we enter a space, you hit that record button, keep it running for the entire duration that we're there, and then take a break before we leave the space. We don't want to record in between spaces to recreate the Blair Witch Project, if you guys remember that. I know, horrible movie. We don't need to do that over again. So, Blake, you already know the rules with yours, right? Keep one of us in view at all times because we are a heat reference. That's why I make that joke at the beginning. Secondly, remember, keep the sky out of view because the blue dot will default to the sky because there's no surface. So if you can, keep the sky out of view. Nice slow movements. Also, we're going to be in places like this where there's people walking by and cars. We do not film cars. We do not film people besides us. So even when we're in other areas with other tours, which we may be, I don't know, last night it wasn't that way. But in the event we are, just be mindful of your surroundings. I'll just say, let's be discreet. Let's not, those people didn't pay to get filmed like we did. So, any other major questions? I'm going to explain more about EMF at the next location. Any other major questions about the devices you guys have? Silence is compliance with me. Are we ready to learn some real history then? James, what do you think? You ready for some history lessons? Okay, let's see. So, go have fun. Okay, fun. So this is our first stop. So first of all, I'm going to point out that with all of the communication devices, at this point, this is where I start withholding information on purpose. So I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse. So just kind of keep that in mind. You go get the answers from your communication device, whether it be a spirit box, obviously the Ouija board, and our word list for Madeline. Hopefully that one really comes through with us for tonight. I was kind of light last night, to be honest. So welcome to the Pinckney Mansion site. This is where Charles and Eliza Pinckney actually lived. Their mansion sat in the front of the space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden, lined up with Five Church Restaurant, came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of the land. Who the hell were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. This is why we look for those secondary clues, folks. That's 3 different Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Big deal for us. I hate politics more than Jack. So we're going to move on to Eliza. She has a much better history anyway. So especially, you guys said, how long have you lived here? You guys, 2.5 years. So this will be a good lesson for you. So Eliza Lucas Pinckney this is where her mansion was. And Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say it like that because if those of you with spirit boxes and communication devices, if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, don't expect numbers from the colonial days from where she came from. Think of today's standards. By the way, ladies in colonial days usually got married between 12 and 14. Not going to be the numbers you're going to be hearing. Think of today's standards because the husband was over double her age when they got married. It was a creepy age gap back then. It's a creepy age gap now. So put that in perspective. But she marries him because her father's over in England. He thinks he's dying. He's trying to bring all of his children home one last time so he could see him. Eliza did not believe that he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. So she did marry him out of love. This is a true love story, and this is a place of respect. So I'll show you that more as we kind of move through the story. But anyway, she was right. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing right now. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. Those of you that have been in town for just a day or so, you've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise you. That's a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Good job, Carly. You knew that you were coming to see me. You had to have a reference. So, but anyway, that's how we use it now.
Well, you don't wear blue, Scott.
But Eliza didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them. She had to learn how to make the dye from her servants and slaves after trying to keep it cultivated because it's not always warm here. When she did all that, she made it to a cash crop, got a hold of Dad, and told him rice plantation prices are going downhill, but we're going to make a killing with this indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of. So, as the boring business stuff of Eliza, let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are all here. So what's going to happen is I like to keep this environment controlled, so I am going to assign questions to you guys. You can cherry pick off of other people's questions that I hand out. You can either say them out loud, you can focus on them. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Carly was worried about that at the beginning. She didn't want a spirit box because she didn't want to talk to somebody she couldn't see. But at the same time, remember that we have 3 cameras, my voice recorder, and a number of communication devices. So Jason might ask a question, and Madeline might get the answer. It could go anywhere. That's how this works. By the way, James, have you gotten any numbers yet? What have you got?
2-5.
Okay. While we were here, or while we were like on the street?
Across the street.
Across the street is probably from the parking meters and electrical poles. Okay, got it. So again, you're definitely gonna shout something out because yours is gonna be a lot slower than his. So let's kind of go through this series of questions so that way we can see how this is gonna work out. So I'm actually gonna start off right to left tonight. So Jason, we're gonna start off with yours. You're gonna focus on Eliza's death. So she's pretty open about talking about it. So 4 major questions that we get the answers to: how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So very specific questions that are not yes-no questions. If you ask anything else, just be respectful and make sure it's not a yes-no question. Is that fair?
Sure.
I figured as much. With yours, you and Jack are going to have the same set of questions. So the mansion's not here anymore. So you guys are going to be asking what happened to the mansion, and if you get an answer, or if anybody else gets the answer, ask when that happened. We're looking for a specific date. So it might come up in just numbers. If we get the what, we normally get 2 or 3 numbers of the when. So just kind of keep that in mind. So Jack, I'm just giving you some basic tools of like how to get this started, of what to listen for. Next communication device is actually going to work in tandem with what JOANN has going on. So Eliza has a maiden name that starts with the letter L. I said it earlier by mistake. I'm hoping nobody caught up to that. But with that, you are going to be looking for Eliza's maiden name because she's the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife also had a maiden name that started with the letter L. So hopefully we get either one is here. So you're going to be looking for her initials, ELP, in that order. And then you're going to be looking for the maiden name, of course. So with this, we do have, I think it looks like 3 cars in here grand total, maybe 4. We don't go near vehicles at all, especially with the camera. It's just going the opposite direction. I'm going to keep JOANN behind with me so I can show her a little bit more about how to operate this device. And everybody else is going to spread out. I'm going to do 1 to 2 round robins with everybody. Have you started recording yet? Absolutely. Let's get that thing up and running, and let's have some fun. So let's spread out, and I'll be with everybody in just a minute. I'm going to start with JOANN. Jack, listen up, man. You got this.
I know you're not. What's my question? How did the house? What happened to the house? Was that my question?
Yeah. Trying to figure out some stuff about the house.
Eliza, what happened to your house? Can you tell me what happened to your house? Or when something happened to your house?
Remember, you're not going to hear as much as everybody else.
Yeah, no.
A few pop through.
Anything you can make out?
I've made out a few numbers, but
Like what? What were the numbers?
I heard a 3, a 4, and I think 20.
Hey, listen.
It's me.
Yeah, I heard that too. I'm something. Second.
Liza, where is your house? Where was your house?
Standing.
What city?
Charleston.
How old were you when you got married?
Can you tell me how old you were when you got married?
What do you two got going on?
Pretty sure. I asked her where her house was.
Mm-hmm.
She said
Standing
standing.
in.
Standing, like you're standing in it.
Like,
And
yeah, it
then
said
I-
standing in.
I
And
asked
then
what city. Charleston.
it comes through Charleston. It sounded like Charleston anyway.
Now, I normally throw out the word Charleston because you're listening to Charleston radio stations, but because that was a direct question and you know like she was living here, I'm gonna write it down just because it was a relevant question.
Yeah.
So normally, if somebody tells me a normal spirit box that they heard the word Charleston, I'm not writing it down.
Yeah.
So
But being that this is mostly what we've heard,
yeah,
and then it was like
Charleston.
Charleston.
Yeah, not surprised. Again, this one's the most accurate. So that's why I figured the two of you would have a lot more fun with this, especially being the only group of two. This way you both can pair up. So I figured this would give you a little bit something extra to
Yeah,
do versus the moment.
we've asked how old. We've asked how old she was, but
No answer yet.
no answer yet.
Okay. Allie, you got anything weird? Where did you hear that? Was it closer to here? Or
Yeah,
back?
it was right
Between here
between
and
the two stop signs.
Yeah. Okay. Where
We
are
heard
those-
deals made.
Yep. Deals made. On sale.
It's too much. Like,
Yeah.
It's a little too vague for me.
Yeah.
So, anything else? I'm sorry.
Just that whistle and then 99.
99 is big. Alright, back to you, Matt.
Just perhaps whenever we turn.
Okay. Other spirit box. Jack, what do you have?
You're like every so often like a history channel.
History channel? What's the history channel that's telling you?
It just said something like it said history. That's it.
Still kind of vague, right?
Yeah.
By the way, cameras, if you have one, let's go ahead and get them up and running. Jason, what do you got?
I heard jelly roll.
Jelly roll.
I'm only one drink away from the devil. That was a specific verse I heard.
So you didn't hear jelly roll, you heard this song.
Yeah, by jelly roll.
Back.
I thought you heard that word.
That is scary.
You guys heard only one drink away from the devil, and then you two over there heard deals made?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Wow. And I got the word mortar.
Mortar?
That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot of letters.
Yeah. Is that what you do?
The mortar is like what they put in between bricks when you're. This is mortar right here.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other.
You broke my phone.
Yeah.
That's my personal phone.
I'm really sorry.
So it turns on just a normal phone. Just swipe it.
Well, I didn't know if you had a password.
I know. It's not my personal phone. It's mine. It's not my personal. All right. I'm actually excited. Like, we got some decent stuff going on in
Oh,
here.
yeah.
So yeah, you're good to go, Michael. Just making sure you're recording. I can see the blinky light on your end. So your cameras don't necessarily have to be on me in here, especially with Blake's, just because there's enough foliage in here for temperature gaugeness. But all of the other cameras. So Allie, with yours, I almost tell folks like just put it at your side. There's a reason why I left the top handle on there and didn't cut it off. So that way you can just get a full view of the alley. So if we get a stick man walking towards us while I'm telling the story, super great. We might not catch it in real time, but it might be in video. So you might want to just grab that top handle and hold it to your side. And Dad's gonna get right away. So
Well, I was letting him go back there.
oh,
I just got rub cow.
cow.
Rub, R-U-B, cow, C-O-W.
I got a. Was that
I'm excited. I know, like, I'm not excited about rubbing cows. So I'm excited more about the word cow. Let me explain. Wow, this is super cool. I don't think we've had this on this device yet. Where you're standing used to be called Cow Alley, long time ago. And I normally explain this like at the end of the dueling story because that's what I normally cover first. But this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. That's why it was called Cow Alley. I am stoked, only because we haven't had it on there. I know it seems like a silly little 3-letter word. We wouldn't get the Pro Center that excited, but that's something new.
3.2.
That hasn't happened here yet. And normally we'll show it on our word list. So that we've gotten it on there and on other spirit boxes, but never this once. So yes, that's me excited.
3.2.
Nice.
But then,
Let's take that too. Just at the same time that she got the rubbing and cow.
no, just as you were talking.
It's so funny that you got rub and cow at the same time.
Yeah.
Your phrase. All right, let's talk about why we're actually here now. So, this is Philadelphia Alley. This used to be called Dueler's Alley after Cow Alley. So, I'll put the timeline in place for you once we're all wrapped up here. So, this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, I say some of them because dueling was illegal and they had to find a hiding spot. This used to be one of them. Here's how this story goes. Every ghost tour comes down here and they all tell the same story. I'm going to give it to you a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. You obviously need those extra wordy clues. And we're not on a campfire like all the ghost hunting. So let's kind of get into it. The doctor comes down here from Rhode Island. He moves down here. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it is not coincidence. We get it all the time because it's part of the doctor. So, Dr. Ladd moves down here. He's supposed to get married to his fiancée again.
He did. I saw it.
That was
No, like you caught. Yeah, He did flip it though. That's right.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago. It
There
was just
went-
on.
He went back out.
It just stayed on like all of them. Make me lose track of the story.
He did it. He did it. He said it flickered, and all I did was agree.
Come on.
Amanda's attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after her money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves down here to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her money, and he's going to start his medical business down here. Well, the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It was like having a really bad Uber driver drop him off and said, "You're going to go die over there." So anyway, yeah, it's funny. I have jokes, Madeline. Roast hunting is a good time, I promise you.
No,
Anyway, there was somebody walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. You guys remember those initials I told you? Yeah.
All right.
Stopped there because we were getting the letters R.I. whenever I talked about Ralph from a regular spirit box. So JOANN's device, this is the exact reason why I bought this device, was to get the specific letters. Now, in the past year that I've had this, we've gotten the letters R.I. We'll say 4 or 5, 6 times maybe, whenever I bring up Ralph. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, "Dude, I know this coachman that brought you into town. He's going to try to kill you, man. Come with me. We're going to go to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from friends of mine, and you'll be safe and good to go." Doc took him up on the offer. The two gentlemen became friends. Now, the longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. So he's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. She gets wind of this, and she's moving down, so they could be married. And Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Hence why we had a whistle as we were on our way here that came out of the SB11 Spirit Box. So, every tour that comes down here tells you to listen for the whistles. We'll talk about those whistles here in just a minute. Let's get back to Dr. Ladd and Ralph because you're in Dueler's Alley. We need a duel somewhere. The doc and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's the way the hierarchy worked in Charleston back then. So on the way home, after seeing Richard III, they are arguing over the new actress that was here in town. Dr. Ladd thought she was great, and Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island, and it got really ugly. They went their separate ways. He already figured out that Ralph has friends around town, so he goes to the friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. We got some folks coming our way, so Mike, you might want to lower your camera. So yeah, you can just point it at the ground. We all completely understand. There you go. Just hold it at your side. Wow. So, anyway, so Dr. Ladd saw the ad that Ralph placed because it was kind of like that "you're a disgrace to society" kind of mentality, but he rebutted with, "Let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this because it's our own." So they came down, they took it 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. We're going to let these folks pass it.
Lights back on.
How you doing, man? Good. So, he pointed his gun in the air and shoots because he didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to show up. However, Ralph has his one bullet in his gun still. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd didn't die, but he fell to the ground because he's in pain, obviously. And his friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. I'm going to point out a couple of things. First off, he died in 1786. Gunshot wounds back then are a lot different than what we think of gunshot wounds now. Secondly, he's a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning. He tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he failed because he died. Now, like I said, every tour tells you to listen for the whistles. We have 3 cameras running plus my voice recorder. If we're going to get a whistle, we normally get it on that. Luckily, we heard one. Hopefully, we have the audio from it. If he wasn't recording, then we're not going to have it. But if we do get a whistle from a song on a spirit box, we will normally get the word doctor from a commercial almost immediately after. So it's almost like a doctor. We get it all the time. Coming here for 4 years, can't tell you how many times it's actually occurred. I don't find it coincidental. The dude's letting us know that he's here. Secondly, if you're going to try this on your own, you walk all the way through the alley. I can't take you all the way through this alley. I'll explain in a moment. I've been kicked out of here. So, if you're going to try it and use your voice recorders from your phones, just remember that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down the alley. I used to do it every single morning when I was done with your data because my garage used to be over there and my office is now over here. I'd have to pass the alley at like 3 in the morning, and I would always throw a whistle, especially since I got thrown out of here. And Maddie Lynn wants to know why the hell I got thrown out of here. She's giggling hysterically. Here's how this goes. I already told you that this used to be called Cow Alley, but part of that was it didn't go all the way through this way. There was a wall up there, so that was to keep all the livestock inside. That means that the bricks on the other side are older than the ones you're standing on. Those bricks down by the Queen Street side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There used to be there's a full handprint and a fingerprint swipes and other bricks down there, but that full handprint is definitely that of a child. I used to take my groups all the way through them. However, well, you guys were actually after this occurred, so it was actually a year after. So I used to take them through there as a history lesson, not for anything paranormal, because remember, I'm treating that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. I'm also trying to move people along, so I'm not being disrespectful to the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. On November 26th of 2020, I finally got caught. My group huddled around waiting for something to happen, and I'm trying to move them, and they didn't go. With the new new owner of that mansion came out and he was screaming. My daughter thought it was hysterical because Dad's getting yelled at. Like, so you get the point. So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked for Walmart for over 10 years in upper management, and you all like to fight over towels, and now I'm scarred for life on Thanksgiving. I don't work on Thanksgiving ever again. So I can see that grin over there, Mike. He's like, yep, I've done it.
They were
But
nice towels.
They were nice towels. And I was the guy, like the smallest person in the store, covering them down. But anyway, so I called my partner the next day, which was November 28th, 2020, and he laughed at me just like my daughter did that night that it actually happened. And he said, you're only allowed to go down halfway. That's cutoff point for tours, otherwise it's considered residential. So he's like, reroute your group for tonight, because I'm sold out again. It's Black Friday. Take my group out. I tell them I don't believe in the next story because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. We're obviously going to be discussing pirates next. But somebody on a spirit box before we left gets the name Anne. I didn't tell them which pirate we're going to be investigating. The famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was kind of like, all right, maybe we're going to get something. We go up and around the corner. Somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what that one means. I write it down. I do the research for them. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720, the exact 300th year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, well, damn it. I was actually kind of ticked off. My problem with pirates, guys, is that pirate stories come from pirate lore, which was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy. That's a problem for the guy with the master's degree in creative writing. I need facts and data, especially when I'm doing this. I've read more damn books on pirates, more documentaries, more video games, as many compilations of these stories I could find to get a different viewpoint on them, the better. Everything we're going to be discussing at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. Just keep that in mind. I am a heavy researcher. So before we leave the space, have we seen any numbers? Nothing at all. So did you get any others on yours?
No.
Okay. Any words? Because your thing's going like bananas over there.
Yeah. I got the word pan, P-A-N.
That's actually part of a flintlock gun. I'm going to write that one down.
I got aim.
Aim. Look at that. When we're talking about duels, you said there's no such thing as ghosts.
I don't exist. And then I got the name. Just watch her be levitating, thrown into there. Now it says reservation.
So if you,
There you
I'm
go.
actually pretty excited about the word pan as well. So I don't know much about guns, but when weird things come up, I actually have to do that research. The word pan, it goes with another phrase. Like it's like a pan and something that goes onto a flintlock gun, which was a dueling pistol.
I was trying to see if there was any other like word that followed it or
Yeah.
something.
And hopefully, it might not show up on yours. It might be on something else. So Jack, did you hear anything? Or were you
I
focused
heard
on that?
I'm just close.
Okay. And you guys are muted, obviously. So we are going to go up and around and talk about crazy rated R pirates. Are you guys ready for this craziness? Madeline, what do you think? You ready for some pirates?
She's not.
She's not.
Don't worry. She is.
All right, keep listening for view video cameras. If you want to continue recording, you can, because we're only going up and around the corner. We're just going to stay out of the way of the other tours in the event there's other tours up there. So let's go up and around the corner. I love the fact that that's giving us a lot
As
tonight.
soon as you said we're
Like, come on, let's go. Let's do this.
more like
Might have gotten 20. No tour.
Sounded like Donna.
Sounds like pain.
You could sound like pain.
like the end.
So, do me a favor. Look at your list of letters that you have right now. Is there the consecutive letters of SHH by chance? SHH. I'm looking for that SHH to go along with their 99 that they heard, because I am going to give you that brief story on that one. Do you guys know the 99 reference? Did I tell you that last time?
I think you did, but I don't remember.
Okay. So, every ghost tour stops across the street at St. Philip Church. I'm sure you guys know it's the giant steeple.
Yeah.
There's a cemetery right next to it, graveyard. So, inside that side of the graveyard, there's a sign that reads, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." And there's a reason for it. They don't want jerks like me trying to recreate what happened. Here's what happened. 1888, a young lady passes away by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. Initials being SHH. So, sounds cheesy and campy because it's shh, but it actually works here because we get it all the time. But anyway, and it's actually shown up on yours before too. But at any rate, so she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. So you guys are probably wondering what the 99 comes into play. 99 years later, a local photographer was taking pictures of all of our cemeteries, putting a book together, and he captures a full apparition in one of his photographs. So, sends it off to Kodak because it's 1987 and we don't have the technology that we have to be able to do things with his phone, right? So Kodak basically confirms the camera that he took the photograph with and that the picture was not altered in any way, shape, or form. So if you basically type in best apparitions ever caught, this will normally show up in like a top 100 list. Like, it is pretty clear. However, it's cursed, which is why I don't always tell the story unless something pops up about it.
That light was going crazy.
Somebody's light was going nuts. So, picture, like I said, being cursed. Females that handle it are said to get the same kind of symptoms we talked about at the beginning: the headache, the nausea, dizziness. Pregnant females are said to not have a good pregnancy, which is exactly why I don't always show it. When I do show you guys this picture, please do not touch my tablet, because it said you're not going to have a good pregnancy. I'm not going to be the guy where you guys had a great vacation and 9 months later I cursed your family. So I'm going to show you guys a picture like 2x2, and then we're going to get into our pirate tale. I'm not super excited about anything else besides that 99. It's not still confirming to me. I still want that secondary clue. I'm just giving you that instance in case I do find something. So 2x2, this is the picture that he took. Here's your apparition. It's a woman.
It's a really good picture.
It is.
With a baby basket.
That's like Waverly Hills though.
So you can see a woman praying over her own grave. You're looking at her back, and there's a baby basket right next to her. You're looking at her back like she's stooped out like this.
Oh, okay.
See it now? Like she's wearing a shawl.
Yeah, but where's the baby?
The baby basket is to her right. Back then, they wouldn't have had like a carriage for your car, right? So I'm talking 1888.
That's
So pretty clear.
Looks like she's like a veil or something.
Exactly.
yeah,
Most
I
people
thought
say
she
it's
was
a
wearing
shawl.
like a wedding dress.
So I don't know if you guys remember the photo or not.
Yeah.
You guys probably looked it up before.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get into our crazy pirate tale. Did we hear anything else along the way, by the way? Did we
Yes.
see anything? What did you get?
As we come out of the alley, turning to the left, we got Bonnet, Pain, and the end.
And the last one was what?
The end.
The end. Bonnet is interesting only because there's a Stede Bonnet pirate that's from Charleston. So I'll be writing that one down, and of course the end, because we reached the end of the alley. I'm not going to look at it as the end of anything else. So I'll look at it in that respect.
And that's
Well, that was
exactly where
after.
it was.
Well, it was
man.
after Pain though.
Mm.
The end was
The
after
end of the
Pain.
Pain.
It was Bonnet, Pain, the end.
Interesting.
It's like the end
Yeah.
of the pain.
Yeah, that's kind of a good reference. All right, so let's talk
I
about.
got the word nut at that.
We're all nuts, aren't we?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Oh, nuts.
I got
Maybe
push
out in
it.
the cold.
Push it.
When we're going
Bro,
to that tree,
standing there like-
and we cross over here, I got November 7th.
He died on November 2nd. So it's damn close, like almost whenever you misheard it. Very interesting. And why would you be hearing something for something about a month ago?
That's what I was thinking.
Exactly. Where would November come from?
Still a very specific date. I'm going to write it down. Pain. It's just funny speaking to read it. In your notes. All right. Other tourists come through here. We'll talk about that building up there. Radar 2, we're going to look at it in a much different light. That's the Gunpowder magazine. It's a museum now, so it's a good place to spend $5 to be your pole. It's the building up there, Joanne, with the big crosses on it. Yeah. But those are not crosses. For those of you that aren't from here, those are earthquake bolts. You don't know what those are? It's basically a turnbuckle. Looks just like that on the other side. If we get another earthquake, like what I mentioned at the top of our night, you could turn the turnbuckles and it'll tighten the building so it doesn't incur further damage. Great idea, just doesn't work. It's kind of dumb, actually, if you really think about it. Go ahead, you got a joke. I want to hear it.
I just want to know who's going to go turn them.
Yeah, well, there's a wrench somewhere. I'm sure there is. It's labeled, Powder Magazine. By the way, for you tourists here, you've seen these bolts all over town. They're in the shape of lion heads and pineapples, and even the brick apartment building behind it has earthquake bolts on every single floor. So it's just part of our Charleston charm. So the reason I bring up those specifically, the big ones over there that look like crosses, is because that's the first set that Charleston ever put in. The reason being is because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because this building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. This is what I call a familiar. For those of you that watch the Sam and Colbys and all of the YouTube videos and the TV shows, you've seen that Boo Buddy, where they have the teddy bear with the blinky light EMF meter in there. They use that because they want a child ghost to recognize it as a toy. Think of that concept with why we're here. We don't have many buildings this old that Anne would actually recognize from her own era. So, let's get into this. The building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building? 10 years?
Yes.
Sarah's like, it does. You could say it. I actually pissed off an FBI agent one night that was in my group. He was like, can you stop making jokes about the government? I'm like, nope, can't do it. But anyway, our history begins right in the middle of the building's construction. Try to follow me on this one. There's a few twists. I'll slow down on the twist, but I like to breeze through the rest of it because it can be lengthy if I don't. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? Sarah, you got that? I seen that head tilt like, okay, I got it. And the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was this wife that she kicked them out of the damn country? So, came here with your lady. Just be nice to your lady. You got that, Blake? It's like, yeah, I'm good.
10 years strong.
Oh, you were saying that? She got don't forget.
Don't forget.
Like
Nice to your lady. So, I might forget something if you keep interrupting. I can sing it.
This is not me tonight.
But anyway, so back to Anne. So with that said, they're running away and they landed in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach if you're not familiar with the coast. Dad bought a plantation in Georgetown, but Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is now sending young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell things from the plantation to keep things afloat. Hence the familiar building. So, back home in Ireland, Anne was said to be a badass even back then. They say when she was 7, 8, 9 years old, remember that's pirate lore, nothing is going to be exact, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. So I can't tell you how many times we've had servant, knife, and belly show up on different devices. The other two people don't know what's happening. Back to Anne. Fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne's pretty happy about this because she's going to fall in love with one of these pirates so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world at this point. So, the first guy she falls in love with, and I say it that way because there is a good handful of them, and we're going to discuss them all. That's what makes the story so damn good. The first guy is James Bonny, and you already know where this one's going. Dad didn't approve because he's a pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. Anne Cormack became Anne Bonny. That's where her pirate name came from. However, when she gets down there, she realizes her new husband is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wanted. She falls in love again. Guy number 2. This is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering who this guy actually was. Jack has his own ship, he has his own crew. Anne wants to be part of the crew, but you can't put a female on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why? And keep it family friendly. Think of your audience. See the shuffles? You all got dirty brains. It's bad luck. Okay, I was going to say it. But anyway, it is bad luck. But Jack makes a deal with Anne. He says, if you can dress like the guys and look like the guys, you could be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. But most of us are adults here. Let's put 2 and 2 together. You can't have a female in the pirate's court in the captain's quarters without somebody getting pregnant. And that's exactly what happened. So can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew, now can you? And he's gonna figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts to show off her pregnancy and says, has the baby here, these are friends of mine, they'll help you. Come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has that baby, but returns without one. We have no idea what happened to the child, by the way. None of our researchers ever discovered it. She also comes back dressed like a girl. This makes Jack pretty angry. To make him even more angry, she's gonna go flirting with the pirate crew he just captured. Guy number 3, they're down below deck. So she's down there flirting, and the guy she chooses to flirt with turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the crew the Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females trying to be pirates dressed like males. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Now Anne and Mary became lovers for sure, friends for sure, but lovers maybe. We don't really know because of the time frame. But the British find out where they are, so they send a whole fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary, rumor is, they were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet guns. They don't know how to use the cannon yet. Obviously, 2 ladies with 1-bullet guns can't take on a whole fleet of Navy ships. They get arrested by the British, and as they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and she says, I'm sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog. The word dog shows up a lot for you guys, just so you know. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight, so they're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front of the judge and reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves, and the judge doesn't give a damn that they're girls, that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. So they scream out, we plead our bellies, meaning they're claiming to be pregnant because it's illegal to hang a pregnant woman in 1720.
I just got
So, told you, none of this is coincidence, man. So, he delays the hanging, sends them both back to jail. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money, and he bails out Anne, brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. We don't really know for sure. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 83. Very abrupt ending, because we don't really know anything for certain after her pirate career. Mary Reed died 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in Jamaican jail. Use your imagination on that one. Most folks would say it was fever. Let's call it scurvy. Why the hell not? She's got me. So, here's what I left out. I'm not going to control this environment like I did with the Pinckney Mansion site. You can ask whatever the hell you want to. I'm just going to give you a few things that I left out on purpose so you know what you're asking. I did leave out the names of the parents. That's the father and the mistress. You can ask about them. The city where Anne grew up in Ireland. That's a very interesting one. We've only gotten that one a few times because it's a relatively new question. The name of Calico Jack's ship that she joined, and the color of Anne Bonny's hair. Everything else you can ask, fair game. I don't care how you ask it. You don't always need to be respectful at this location either. Just the prominent English woman that we discussed earlier. Kick Anne in the shins if you have to. Get some answers out of her. EMF readers. I'm more excited about the back half of the EMF readings because the front half is, we have 2 electrical poles and we have the parking meters on the other side. So anything you get on this back half, the 2.5 is exciting at this location. I think one of the highest readings we got out of here is like a 12, and it was just a few months ago. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is not the Pinckney Mansion site for sure, but it's all about the communication devices, and the biggest orb I've ever caught with your device, Mike, has been at this location. 14 years, this is where I caught it. So it was actually up there near that wall. So I'll do 1 or 2 round robins with this location, and we'll see what we got going on. Anything being spelled out for us, Joanne?
Not yet.
Because you're going banana nuts over there again.
Yes, but
Banana nuts. So, Allie, this wall behind me is not your friend. It's covered in leaves.
Right. When we were first walking up, I was like, yeah, that's
It's going to look like a whole bunch of army men lined up for you. Waving. Yep, this doesn't really work out with that camera too well. But yeah, let's have some fun. Stay away from, what do we got, 5 cars in here? So you guys get the point. Let's have some fun. Jason, have you heard anything? Or are you listening to me the whole time?
I was listening to both.
Okay.
I heard Gary Fuller. Over there, I heard Justin's mom. Just Justin's mom, not the rest of
Hey, Bonnet, what color was your hair? What town in Ireland are you from?
I'm not here to do.
What color is your hair? Where are you from? What happened to your baby?
What was your dad's name? $10 degrees. And then get. See the sky. It's showing negative 15 up there.
That's what I'm saying. And that gap right there.
I think they're waiting on us.
Kind of like what we're doing now.
Yeah, we'll see what we get.
What do you two got? Nothing yet?
Nothing.
Okay.
No.
Sarah, any numbers at all?
One.
That's natural from the Earth. So, that's a 1.1. So, James, what about yours? Nothing. Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. It just seemed to quiet down really fast, didn't it? You were getting a lot of stuff at the beginning. JOANN, did you have anything spelled out for us?
Yeah, nothing else other than nuts.
And Jack, did you get anything? Not even your own name that's going to show up at this location quite a bit? Calico? Because that's going to be your new nickname when you go home. Calico. Nope, come through there. Did you get anything? I'm going to call this one a wrap. This one is going to get a kind of like a big roll of the dice. You don't know if you're going to get something there. So I'm going to look through the wall. I'll give you the quick answers and I'll explain them the next time.
Wrapping.
Just about.
Just about.
Alright, put you on mute. Thank you. He's like, damn it. So, remember I told you guys about that heated warning at the top of our night? Yeah, if you want to have a seat, by all means. This is
Okay.
at all. I put them on mute. The reason why? 2 reasons. First off, I used to give the cameras to the hecklers in my groups, but then they would like talking shit about me, like some nasty stuff. So I just learned to, for my own ego, don't listen. Secondly, it allows me to focus on the visual, which is why we have it at the beginning.
Right.
So if you guys would go back and listen to it, hopefully.
Oh yeah, I did last time.
Can you find something? Just text me. I'll prove it or debunk it. I'll go back and take a listen. You guys Uber, right?
Yeah.
Were you guys heading back to after this?
Mount
Crossville.
Oh. You have to Uber back in Mount Pleasant?
Patriot Front, yeah. It's easier than worry about parking.
Yep.
Not cheap. It is parked right there. We're going 2 blocks this way. And now, I didn't have my office last time you guys came down. I gave it to you guys the next morning, like in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Now I do it overnight. Because I live even further away. I moved out to the Lake Moultrie. So I live right on the lake now. That's like an hour from here.
Yeah.
So I just do it all down here, pack everything up, go home and sleep, get ready for the next one.
Smart.
That's where you guys get it by the time you wake up.
Oh yeah. Work construction.
Left turn off. Why aren't they hot right now? They only stay on for 2 hours.
I need some of those.
Expensive.
Yeah, I bet they're worth it.
Oh yeah, every penny. About $40.
They ain't too bad.
There were more expensive ones out there, but I wanted to cut out fingers. I was cutting out a finger.
I just spent $150 on a heated jacket for him, so.
So, my wife was going to get me the vest to wear underneath this vest. I was, don't worry about it. I'm good. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Thanks, Madeline. I appreciate that verification.
Yeah. No, I think we just got something going by that cemetery. I'm not to listen to that one. Too close.
Down something.
Yep.
I heard cut and then down.
Look at this thing. The voice recorder.
Oh.
I'm telling you, this thing is intense.
okay? You guys are awesome keeping up. I gotta say that.
But it's got big microphones on it. Shout things out if you hear them. So Jason and Jack definitely shout things out. We got to keep Carly on mute, unfortunately. So here's how this goes. The reason why we stopped here is simply because the murder actually occurred 2 blocks from here, and I've already told you I have limitations. This is as close as I can take it. The other reason I chose this specific corner is because the woman that was murdered is buried in that cemetery. So I'm hoping that we have kind of like a triangular effect by being at this location, and we have gotten a few extra voices that have come through that weren't my group. So let's get into this. November 1st of 1933, a woman drops to the ground and starts screaming in pain. A man hit me, and I'm about to die. That's basically all she says. She's on the ground. Somebody driving by, and picture a 1933 badass car, by the way, stops, helps her out, and helps her into their car. They take her down to St. Roper's Hospital, which is where MUSC sits now. So a couple of miles from here. Which means whoever hurt her got away. She gets down there, and she has a doctor and a nurse that's trying to help her out. The doctor's name is Avery Finger. I laugh. I know, church bells can be really intense.
It's really loud.
And anybody else that wants to test this out after we're done telling the story, I'll give you like a minute on there so before we go to the next stop. But anyway, Avery and Finger are 2 terms that we have gotten here, not just on the word list, but from other spirit boxes as well. The nurse's name, I can only assume she's female because we don't know her first name, Nurse Glasscock. So just giving you the names in case something pops up. Now, she dies on their table. They don't know how or why. They send her over to the coroner in the autopsy room, and they find a mark underneath her right arm, and then a bullet hole inside of her rib cage. Went across through her rib cage, stopped her heart, and she died of internal bleeding. Very sad story, correct, right? The woman's name is Mary Ravenel. If you came over here from Mount Pleasant, you came over the giant bridge. That is the Ravenel Bridge. This is a very prominent name here in Charleston. So her jewelry was still intact, so she was not robbed. There was no gunshot residue on her body or clothing, so this was not a close range type of shot, nor was it an accident from a gun she may have had on her own. What questions do we want to ask so that we can get answers to this?
Is she the mother of the daughter that was with Edgar Allan Poe?
No, she's married into the family, so this is probably, if anything, a great aunt at this time frame, if we're going to look at it that way. But good question.
Does she know who shot her?
Okay. And it's okay to ask yes/no questions at this point. I will tell you that one of the part of the phrase that she did exclaim was, "A man hit me." She did not call them out by name. I will tell you, just a few nights ago when we were doing this, somebody listening to a spirit box said it was a black man, and it came out of nowhere. They weren't even paying attention. He just said it. So the next night, we did the imagery test at the next location, which is right here, and the image that came through was of a black man basically standing in a jail cell. Very interesting point. Again, this is what inspires me to continue looking into things like this. What other questions would we ask? James, you got anything over there?
What?
I'm talking about your mind. Like, what kind of questions would you ask?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Anybody else have any questions you would think? Like, do we know the person? Was she related to a specific person?
Why was she shot?
Why? Okay. But she said hit, but she was actually shot. So they did find that bullet hole.
Story.
Okay.
Was there like any other wounds on her?
No, just the scrape underneath her right arm. So in a nutshell, it was like almost like she went like this, like she saw it coming. Because when she went like this, it scraped her arm and it went into her ribcage this way. Again, this is a tough one. And I figured you guys you've been with me for a few, obviously, locations to see how I come up with questions. I thought this would be like a fun exercise for the teams that I bring here. Like, what would you want to know? Joanne, you look like you can.
Where?
The day did it happen?
That I don't know. I want to say it was like mid-afternoon.
Someone said where?
Someone said where?
No, one of you guys.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I asked
I
where.
can hear everything.
Where did it
2
happen?
blocks up. So it
Was
actually,
was it her house?
No,
or
she was just
it...
walking.
She
Okay.
was just
Where was she walking to?
Don't know.
Why
Treasure.
was she walking?
Don't know that either. This is why we ask
Treasure.
questions.
Treasure. What is that?
That's why it's a murder mystery. Did we know the man? Again, I don't know. I would think if she knew them, she would have called him out by name. And that's just my guesstimate based on human behavior.
He got arrested in 1939.
33. I don't know. I like it.
Was she on her way home?
Don't think so, because one of the places that, because I believe she had two very specific places, one of them being pretty far inland, like in Hanahan area, I believe. And then she did run a lot of clubs around town as well. So she ran a country club, and she was in charge of another poetry club here for Charleston. And she actually hosted Robert Frost to come here to town to talk about his poetry. So she was a pretty prominent lady here.
Somebody ordered the man who shot her.
Was she a job, right? It wasn't a mob hit kind of thing? Don't know. But we did get the word job show up one night on the envelope.
I got the word low, L-O-W.
Low. Maybe it was a low-key job. Have you heard anything specific come out of there?
Was she married?
Widow.
Any children?
Yes. One.
How her husband died?
I don't know.
How, like, soon before?
You guys realize that you're asking the ghost these questions and not me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Because she's like looking directly at me like, I want to know this stuff. Like, I'm the interrogation. All right. Anybody else want to give a crazy listen to this for about a minute or so before we go do this blindfold craziness? You want to? Okay. Slap the headphones on. So take the headphones off. Just keep it away from the fuzziness because it will squeal in your ear. Just that intense. Yeah. Just put those back.
The cars were really loud.
Yeah. It's different once you take it off too, isn't it? So the EVPs that we've caught with this so far. While I was telling the story, I did get a woman in the background saying, help, help, one night. Another night, I got a, you need to help, I fell down. Like, very specific. And then I've had some whispering, and I couldn't make out the whispering. So, very interesting thing. So yeah, just slap those on for about a minute or so.
Oh, it's so loud.
I'm whispering right now.
Sounds horrible.
Exactly. That's the whole point. And a lot of people, when they put these headphones on, they're like, why don't we hear like this? Like, it is crystal clear. This is one thing that I actually cover from start to finish when I go back to the office and I'm listening to this. I do listen to it minute by minute, and I'm taking notes if I hear anything. And if I hear a weird sound, you'll hear me like, oh, that was somebody hit the bar, you know, or something along those lines. So that way I'm not counting it as
Like
was
her
it here.
machine.
Yeah, well, I recognize that machine.
Well, they didn't have Pac-Man in.
No, but I mean, I'm
1776.
just saying that's a
It
debuff
does
for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Every time that thing
Oh,
goes off, it makes a very specific noise.
Yeah.
Which obviously I know the tone from working with it for so long.
Yeah.
And you can probably hear the conversation down the street. So we do have people walking by. That was somebody's car.
Oh.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this so we can go blindfold some folks. We've got about 8 minutes on here. So hopefully we caught something with it.
That was his alarm.
That was something.
Hopefully.
I heard, like,
See, my ADHD doesn't do very well with this box
Go ahead. I'll set these down for just a second.
because I have to focus on this box and nothing else.
So again, I don't like to spend a lot of time at this one because we don't know all the answers yet. And I don't like all the questioning. I don't know what all the questioning is going to look like when I start coming up with this as I kind of go through it, nor will I be able to prove all of it. I may have to turn things in over to the police to see if I can prove it in. So that's the fun part for me. But I do like the fact that I'm getting certain things like help, and I fell down. You know? So, let's go blindfold some people and see what we can get out of that session.
I thought.
That wasn't very nice.
With the Ravenel house now.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. All right. Have a seat, and then I'm gonna go with CARLY with the.
No, because I want to get.
Just because we won't be able to use their spirit box at this location, because we're going to be focused on this. So I'm going to have you have a seat, and you are going to use our virtual reality game. Oh yeah, lucky you. So.
Ha ha.
Yeah, you'll take that. All right.
We didn't ask you to see.
I got to see what's on the screen.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
I'm getting the virtual reality, dude.
So.
She is blind, cuz. I'm like, she's blind.
With yours, I'm going to give you a blindfold that's disposable. I don't want it back. Keep your own eye boogers. So, and yes, you can buy disposable blindfolds in bulk, in case anybody was wondering, from Amazon. So
You can buy anything on Amazon.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is kind of like an origami project. If you can figure it out while we're gone, kudos to you. But otherwise, I'll help you when we get back. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take these other folks over to that monument, and I'm going to give them the history of what we're doing here, and you guys aren't going to know anything. So sit here and become best friends for a few minutes, and we'll be back in like 5 minutes. I'll give you a few pointers. By the way, don't put the gear on while we're away.
No,
When I'm blindfolding women on a park bench in the middle of the night, it never looks good. So, especially when I walk away. And Blake's looking at me like, what the hell is happening right now? He's like, I'm out. That's actually an earpiece.
What's your name? I thought you were a smart dad.
And it rips in the center, so it's going to look like a Batman mask. So I'll give you the end result.
Apparently not.
there we go.
And then there's like a little seam on the thinner part, and you rip it. So it'll fit your head like a Batman mask. Alright, let's go learn the history, guys, and see what we can get out of this one. Let's head over here. This is the new space for the year, and what happened over here. Oh, I was like, where the hell is this? Creeping up behind you. James, you're supposed to tell me things, man. Anyway, by the way, have I been good with names all night? I feel like I have been.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for kudos, but I appreciate it. I just like to make sure I didn't screw up anybody's name. How much you guys calling me Rick? I'm not Rick. But anyway, first time I came in here, I only had 2 people because it was freezing cold. I feel bad because Mike's doing it all over again. Poor guy's freezing cold. But at the same time, the person listening to the spirit box, I just told them to tell me whatever they hear because I didn't know what to expect out of this location. Just kind of like what we did with the Mary Robin Elkins. The young lady heard the year 1828, the name Henry. I was using Madeline's word list, and I had the name Tim on that word list. Behind me is the bust of Henry Timrod, born in 1828. I can't make this shit up, guys. I wish I could. But anyway, here's what goes on. The guy's a writer, and he's sick through most of his life. He's being born in 1828. He's obviously old enough to go fight in the Civil War in 1860s. He wants to go fight for the Confederate side because he's from Charleston. So he goes out to the battlefield, and his comrades realize he's too sick to fight. So they sent him home. And knowing he was a writer, they wanted him to be the voice of the war. So he started writing poetry and became known as the laureate of the Confederacy. If you're not familiar with the literature world, that's a pretty high standard title. But anyway, he has a son a couple years later, and his son's name is Willie. He's born on Christmas Eve, but he dies 9 months later. Pretty sad story. I know I'm always telling you about dead babies. Raised emotion, right? So son dies, and him and his wife Katie are mourning, and he's not writing as much. His another writer friend from Charleston realizes he's not writing as much and offers him his cottage in Columbia. He says, go out there, get back on track. Leave Katie behind to mourn with her parents. So he goes out there, and that's where he wrote his last words. His last words were, holder of brief mortality. And then he coughed, and it landed on the page in a blood stain because he had tuberculosis. And he died right there, age 38. Now, dear beholder of brief mortality basically means dear person with a short life. So the irony is there. I will tell you that blood stain is part of the reason why this makes it such a creepy story. It looks like a man writing at his desk. It's a perfect legendary mark for a writer to leave behind. They show this book one day a year at the Charleston Library Society. I'm walking here, and I'm sorry, that way. And they basically call it the Blood Book. You have to be a member of the society to be able to see the Blood Book, but the internet's beautiful. So I'm going to show you guys what this one thing looks like, and then we're going to go talk to Jason as if he were Henry Timrod, and hopefully we're going to get a conversation with us. So what's going to happen when we get over there, we're going to keep a pretty tight circle around them, just in case other tourists come by and like, what the hell's Nick up to now, kind of mentality. And then I definitely want you guys keeping an eye on your devices. So Jack, you're definitely going to be listening. So if you get answers, remember those answers can go anywhere. As far as filming goes, Mike, you're probably going to be our best shot to be nice and still, to give us a nice clear shot, because I'm sure they're going to want to take a look at this afterwards. Because I do not give them the history until they get all of the data back. So here's the cough, cough, death, and it looks just like a man writing at his desk. That's his TV stain that he left behind. So I even like to show the beholder of brief mortality, and it does tell the entire story. And the Sarah's trying to see it too. So I'll blow it up so she can see it back there. Oh, yeah, pretty clear. But yeah, it's behind glass because of course it's diseased blood. So, but you can go see it one time a year on Halloween only. All right, you guys ready for this? Let's do it. This is our big finale. All right, let's go do this.
He's just excited. God damn.
No, I got it. I gotta get it out.
So here's a couple things you guys need to know. So I'm only going to keep you under for 10 minutes. Okay? Any more than that can be very disorienting on either of these devices. Also keep in mind that what you guys are separated with is actually all meant for one person. When me and my daughter actually put this all together, and we were doing the full experiment with all the gear, it's a little too much for people that have never done this before. Me and my daughter, we do the Estes method all the time, no matter where we go. So it was not a big thing, but we can find that it can be very dizzying. There's going to be a couple of things on your end, so tell me where you at. I'm going to need you. So when we're done, we're going to tap him on the leg, so that way he takes off his own gear. I will never touch you, so you have that idea. If you're talking too loud, she's going to tap you on the shoulder. When we have neighbors, I try not to piss them off. Okay? You're not going to be able to hear us. You will be telling me everything you hear out of there, whether it's yes, no, whatever it might be. If it's a weird sound, tell me what the sound is. You're not going to hear me. What this should look like is a conversation. With your end, you're going to basically tell us what you see. If it's two people on a bench with a tree in the back, keep it simple because he can't hear you and you'll be talking over each other. I usually focus on him. If he's quiet, I may ask you probing questions about the image that you see. It'll stay up there for 10 to 15 seconds maybe. You might get one image, you might get a dozen. I don't know. We've had a few nights where we've had 0. So keep that in mind. I will also tell you that this person that I just told you guys about is pretty pissed off at me. He gave us some pretty nasty answers here last night. He doesn't like me poking around. It's also in the month of December, so I want you guys to think about what I told you in that piece of history about the month of December. So, again, we're going to see how this goes. Yes, ma'am.
We were talking a minute ago, right when you walked away. Do you know the date that she died?
Yeah, over there.
November 1st, which is the exact date of when I started going over there. So, I started at November 1st. Why did you guys hear something?
When we were over there, I heard like 1013 back to back.
Get it? So let's focus. Well, you guys don't know what you're focusing on at this point. With yours, it's not going to be 3D in your face, just so you know, Carly. This is actually going to just be like a floating picture in front of smoke. Like I put smoke in the background just so you guys didn't fall asleep in there. There's a focus right here in case it's blurry, so you just turn that dial right there. So have you ever used virtual reality before? So I'm going to do a quick setup. So yeah, as soon as you get set up and you start going, I'm going to start timing it while this sets up. So it's 11:01, everybody. I do time this just to make sure we're not screwing anything up. I'm not taking pictures of you. I'm waiting for it to line up. Maybe I'm taking a selfie for all you know. I'm just taking a video right now on TikTok. We're live.
They're following.
As soon as I find where it's going to start. Okay, see how the smoke is in there? You'll see a 2D picture floating in front of it. So you tell us whatever you see in there. There you go. All right, Jason, can you hear me? What color is the blue banana? All right,
ready to start?
good. He's good.
There's a picture of a man with his hands on his face.
Hands on his face. What does the man look like?
It is a white man with dark hair and a tattoo on his shoulder.
Okay. Tattoo is definitely not our guy. Does he have a mustache?
I can't see his hands are like this.
Okay. So we got at least
He
one
has
image
a
going
beard.
so far.
I know he has a beard.
There's a beard. He's looking for a very distinctive mustache. Our gentleman that I told you guys about has like,
Testimony of Rodney Williams.
a caterpillar mustache, like very thick and furry. That's the kind of person he was. All right, Henry, if you're here, I need you to tell us something about your occupation. We're not doing the angry bit like we did last night. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. I need you to tell me something about your job, please. Keep an eye on that word list. What do we got? other song you have going on there. Henry, are you here alone? It's a yes/no question.
Yankee fan.
Henry, you should push through. Whoever's here needs to take a step backwards and let Henry speak. Henry, we've asked if you brought anybody here, and tell us something about your occupation. What did you do for a living? As a writer myself, I have been reading your work more. Henry. I really thought he was going to be doing this a little bit. Jack, are you hearing anything on yours? Henry, are you mad from yesterday?
My clouds went dark.
Clouds went dark.
Yes.
Move your head around. They come back.
Yeah.
500
They went
people.
dark again. They're like a dark gray.
Oh, but they're still there.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, that is my phone, so if my wife is sending you dirty pictures, you need to let us know.
But no, I mean like literally the clouds are like gray. Like dark gray.
It's weird.
Like storm clouds gray.
We're not supposed to do that. We're just supposed to roll around like a Cuban cigar smoker. Henry, let's get back to you, sir. We're using the green box. We're using all of the boxes I have in my bag. You can use any of them. I'm looking to go after your occupation. I want to learn more about your writing. Let's go into that. We don't need to talk anything sad about your son or about your death itself. Let's get into something happy about your life, sir. Let's get into your writing. Can you tell us what you wrote about? Very simple, one-syllable word. That'll verify that you're here. Wow, he's silent. Not northern. It's southern, but Civil War. How are we doing on your end?
Over there, I think the word right.
Not a dead sacrifice, it's a living.
That's awesome.
Is that a quote?
I don't know. We're going to find out. But again,
Fight for democracy.
Henry, thank you for all of that. Let's get back to your writing.
Ask for forgiveness.
I'm sorry for yesterday. If we poked the bear a little too hard, my apologies. That's why we're going after your writing today. Can you tell us what war you actually wrote about? What war did you serve in, sir?
Ohio State fans.
You did get the war.
I heard out of, so probably like out of state.
Henry, can you tell us which war you served in? It's a Friday night, Henry. I know there's going to be loud people walking by. I know you don't like the crowds, but back on you. We're talking about your writing and your service to the country. Which war did you serve in?
Sing a slang song tonight. "600 years."
Wasn't that long ago. Henry, about to bring in the new year. Is there anything you want to say to us?
It's all about grace.
Probably heard it's all about that bass.
Used to be obsessed with
Yeah.
Any other images coming through? Well, you're fired.
Look
Not my
around.
fault.
Look around a little bit.
Henry?
Left, right, up, down.
Oh, something just came up.
See there? Thanks, Henry. Can you
Tarot cards.
really? What card?
There's one with a person in a red dress. Looks like
What time period?
it looks honestly like Vikings. It looks like a helmet
Wow. Okay.
and some swords in the middle.
There's swords. It's a suit. Terrible. I'll have to see it. You got anything? Beelzebub. Blood. Yeah, I would reset that. Yeah. Henry, you're pretty quiet. Can you tell us, we only got about 3 minutes left. Henry, let's get back to your writing. Can you tell us what kind of writing you did? Did you write literature? Did you write plays? Did you write poetry? Why don't you tell us what you wrote about?
Miraculously.
A man with a handlebar mustache.
A man with a handlebar mustache.
And like a big beard and bald with glasses.
He's not bald.
Well, it's not like bald, it's just bald on top. It's around his head.
Definitely not him. I will tell you, do you guys remember the person I told you who lent him his cottage? Also had a mustache and a little bald on top. I'll have to look at it to compare. You guys will see these images before we break apart too, and they'll be in your deck. Henry, you've been very...
Michael.
Oh my god. It's him.
Well, here's the thing. That church over there is St. Michael's.
It's either one. Or it could be honest.
Were you referring to the church or to somebody,
Hunter.
somebody in our group?
Shot.
Hunter was shot.
the lady that got shot?
It could be. This is actually where I've got the inspiration from. Was through this method. Trying to get in touch with Henry, and Mary was coming through. I actually have a picture of a woman that looks just like Mary that came through on the green box. Can you tell us your first name if you're not Henry? Felt like we had Henry tonight, but if somebody else is here, you could tell us what your name is, so we know how to address you.
Living without this.
We were looking for a name. Can you give us your name?
The enemy has said of you.
Henry, I need you to push forward from whoever else is trying to come through, and we're going to say goodnight. Can you say goodnight back to
Your
us?
sins.
I got a picture of a bed.
A bed?
Yes.
Anything in the bed?
2 pillows on the bed. It's made up.
Time period?
Looks semi-modern.
Okay. It's black and white or color?
There were no
It's
seatbelts.
more of a sepia color photo.
Okay. It's maybe early 1900s.
Me.
You in a BOU again? Oh, it's a Q. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on.
Car that took it to the hospital.
Henry, we're going to say goodnight. Can you say
I don't want to be cold.
Mike, that's you.
Yeah. Me either.
Can you say goodnight back to us? We're going to be respectful. Just say goodnight, Henry. You want to say anything back before we close it down?
There's something you should know about me.
Okay, what is it? Gotta make it quick. We're out of time.
The ones that love you. Real people.
Thank you, Henry. You gave us some pretty decent answers tonight. You said enemy earlier, and we have it on the word list right here. Okay, Allie, let's tap him out. Carly, peel that thing off your face.
Number 1.
Number one enemy.
No, you had presidency. Do you guys know where you're at? This is Washington Square Park, named after George. That's him over there.
What's up?
We're done.
Oh.
Wrap it up. So don't get up, either one of you. I'm going to take my phone back. Carly, start working over here.
I'm enjoying that.
So, we're going to take a look at these photos. Don't get up, either one of you, because obviously this can be a little disorienting for some people. I've had people like hyperventilate. I've had one seizure. Like, this can be a big deal. So, yeah. All right, let's take a look at these photographs. So you guys are going to have to huddle around me because they don't really get much bigger. So this is the man that she said that were, obviously hands over their face. So, yeah. It gets pretty detailed. And this is made by... We're going backwards.
Yeah, the tarot cards were next.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know that they're tarot. Of course, it's upside down to me. The cool thing, guys, is when I start going through this, that does not look like... That's a full beard. Holy cow. That's a beard. I actually put this through Google Lens to see if it matches up with anything, especially with whoever we're discussing, at that point in time. We have had Google Lens come through for us.
Bedroom.
So this could have been 1930s, 1920s. So this could be relevant to, you know, what you were talking about. Like, is this Mary coming through? It's a possibility. So we'll have to see what else comes through. So Jason, at the top where your volume is, there's a button next to it. Slide it in the opposite direction so we stop the recording. Oh, yours isn't the one recording. Jack, you're going to do the same thing. So that way it stops. So that way we know that the very last 10 to 12 minutes was from this method. So we're not going to hear what you heard, but at least we'll have Jack's recording at the last 12 minutes. We actually had a few decent things come through. So I would call this like partially successful. So until I actually go through and see what else matched up around this time frame, you know, I would say that this was partial. I don't think any of the images coming through were like super relevant, but I am going to do a Google Lens through all of them and kind of see what pops up, just like I always do. The pictures on the images of the cards, that's where I get interesting things. I found our word list tonight was way more beneficial than what we had last night. So last night we only had like maybe 2, maybe 3 terms come out of it. She probably has like close to 12. Like, there's a lot in there. You guys are going to actually have quite a bit going out of it. So how do you feel, Jason? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, for some people it can be dizzying. So some people get dizzy during that whole situation. You actually did fine. You were a little quiet at some point. I was kind of like, why is he so damn quiet? I was expecting...
It was just static.
Yeah. But then at the same time, we were getting images. It was almost like he was going back to you, and then back to you, back to you, and he was going back and forth. So overall, I would say we probably had about an average night based on what we actually found. Again, and that's just based off of what gauging off of what I saw. I don't know what it's going to look like until I go through all of the data. If you have a camera, go ahead and hit those stop buttons. I'm going to start collecting your